Okay, welcome to Daily 3D Revolve. Today I'm going to be doing a brief tutorial in Blender. I'm going to be showing you guys how to add loop cuts and how to use the Mirror Modifier. So we'll go ahead and open up Blender. This is the latest version, 3.0. And then we're going to, you get this primitive whenever you start Blender. It's the cube primitive. So basically you can add primitives by coming up here to the add button. You add a mesh, and then cube. You can add a plane, you can add a circle, UV sphere, a cylinder, a cone, or a torus, which is a donut shape. So we'll start with this. In order to edit this, you have to come up here and change from object mode to edit mode. And then you usually click off of this, and there's 3 ways to edit stuff in you can edit in Blender. You can edit vertexes, or you can edit this as edge select. This one I find the most useful. It's face select. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on that, hit the E on the keypad, and then extrude this out. Then we'll hit S on the keypad and we'll scale it in. Then we'll hit E on the keypad to extrude this way. And then we're going to hit R to rotate, and then X to constrain it. Okay, and then we're going to E. We'll shoot that up. And we're going to go R to rotate, and then X. And then we're going to go ahead and hit E again. And then we'll pull this straight up. Then we'll hit S to scale and scale that in. Okay, so now we have a part that kind of looks like this. So what we can do here is A selects everything. We need to add a mirror modifier. So to add modifiers, you come over here to this little wrench. And this is the modifier property. You add modifier. And then you come over here down to mirror modifier. And then sometimes you have to change the axis. Like we have to click on Y. And then if we wanted to add one on Z, it's going to copy these up here and it's going to flip them down. So basically this is our mirror modifier. And then what we would do next, if we were going to use this part, we'd come over here to Blender to the add modifier, click up on add modifier, and we'd add a subdivision surface modifier. And then the levels, I usually bump up the levels to 3, not 13, 3. And then go ahead and put 3 in the render. Okay. Now what I normally do is add loop cuts. And what loop cuts do is they smooth everything out. So right now it's kind of pointy, doesn't have any loop cuts. So this is a loop cut feature over here. You want to click. And since we mirrored this, you're not going to have to do any loop cuts over here. You just do them, and wherever you click, where there's the square going here, it adds a loop cut. And then you want to kind of click and add one there. You just kind of work your way around, and you see how these points are starting to smooth out. They're not so pointy. And then as you get to the top, they become easier to deal with. Loop cut there. Okay, so this is not looking too bad. And we'll go ahead and get that pointer tool. Now you can come over here to change from edit back to object mode. Then you can right mouse click and shade smooth. And then here, if you click and drag around, you'll get the idea of your part. So this would be our part right here. We could take off Z if we didn't want the parts on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll just go ahead and rotate that around. And then if we want to add more stuff to it, we could go object, change to edit mode. Then we can go ahead and change up here to face select. Then we can extrude. We can pull these up. Undo. Let's get both of those. Hold down the shift key to get multiple faces. E, extrude, and then we can scale this up a little bit. Okay, now we have this part. So the piece here, and now you can also add loop cuts here. Smooth things out a little bit, add a loop cut. You see how it's not so, it's more uniform. And we want to add one down here, kind of smooth this out. You want to basically put loop cuts as close to the top of the object as possible. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move this around. So now this is smooth, or it's smoother, I should say. And then what we could also do is, if we want to extrude that, come over here to the select faces. We can multiple select on these to get all four. Extrude. We can bring that up, hit scale. We can scale that down. And then we do our same thing there, add loop cuts toward the top to smooth them out. You can also add a loop cut on the edges too. You just need to move your mouse around, and then when you get to where it's going to put an edge cut loop, it'll put it on the side there. I think I need one here too as well. Maybe one right there. Okay, now we'll go ahead and click on that. Go to edit and change to object mode. And then let's go ahead and rotate that around. So this would be our part here. Blender is a pretty amazing tool to create all kinds of parts. And we could turn on, like I said, to turn that mirror modifier. We have the access on. So it'll actually create that part on the bottom there. If we wanted to turn off Z, click off Z. If you wanted to turn off Y, you click off Y. And now you just have it on the X-axis. And if you turn, well, you have to have at least one of those on, so you keep both of those on. So I can add those or take it off. Let's go ahead and rotate. A lot of modifiers you can use in Blender. Let's give you an example of some of the useful ones. Add modifier. Add modifier. Array is a good modifier. The bevel, it puts like the little bevels on there, like fillets. That's a good modifier. The ones that I normally use are solidify, that adds thickness to something. Subdivision surface modifier adds more, polygons, so it'll smooth out your thing, your file. Boolean, that usually cuts something or adds something to a part. So I don't really use too many of these, but to start off with, you definitely want to be able to use your subdivision surface. You want to use your solidifier. You want to use your mirror tool, your bevel, array if you want to make a series of objects. The Boolean, that's a good one. And then what else is useful up here? You could change to wireframe. It's easy to select stuff if you needed to select these things. So you have a wireframe up here, and then you have your regular view shaded. You have a view shaded here. Then you have this one here. I normally go to this one and see stuff. Then you can do toggle X-ray. This is handy if you want to see vertices on the other side here. If you need to select stuff in the edit mode, if you need to see what you're clicking on, turn on the X-ray mode, and you'll know where you're actually clicking on these things. We can go. Let's go back to the viewport shaded. Go to the edit mode. We're in object mode right now. Let's go back to edit mode. turn off our, yeah. So this one, we go ahead and go over here to select faces. We could select, hold down the shift key, get these two, extrude, and pull that out. Got kind of a wing there. And then we need to put the loop cuts in there. So we'll go ahead and add some loop cuts in here. I mean, this might be too many loop cuts, but I'm just showing you actually how to add these. You don't have to add that many in. I'm just trying to, I just want the part to be smooth. This is how you rotate. This is your lighting source over here. This is your camera view. You can pan by holding down this little hand. This will pan stuff around for you. So most of the things you'll need to know when you're starting in Blender is you'll edit object mode. You'll need to know the shortcuts. E is extrude, S is scale, R is rotate. I think M is move or merge. M is merge, and then you have your commands over here if you want to move something. A is select all. Now, if you came over there to move, you could click on that blue handle. That'll move it up. Green handle, we'll move it over. Then you're separating the parts. Red is also, we'll move back. So now you've got the 4 parts there. So rotate is rotate. Scale is scale. Okay, and then this is a extrude region. That's a common one that I use. Insert faces. The bevel one is pretty handy. I'm going to use that. The loop cut. Okay, that's just a brief overview of Blender 3.0. It's a good little program. Edit mode, object mode. And then if you right mouse click on this, you have shade flat, and then you have shade smooth, which we did already. You can do the duplicate objects. That'll actually give you more, and then you can hit the constrain. So if you hit Z, it constrains it on the Z axis. X will pull an object back here. So now we have 2 of these. So that's duplicate object. That's a handy one to use. A lot of objects, a lot of commands that you can use in Blender are mouse driven, but you can also do the right mouse click, and you can get mirror here. You can get turn your snaps on. You can parent the objects. So basically, you could parent this to this. So then when you move this would move with it. That's pretty handy if you're doing stuff that you don't want to get separated for whatever reason. Like if you did a mug of beer and you wanted to merge or actually parent the handle and then the mug, you could parent those together. And then if you had a beer inside of the mug, you could parent that to the glass. So whenever you moved anything, it would stay. It's going to stay together. Okay, that's just a brief overview of Blender 3.0. Using the mirror feature, using the extrude, using the rotate, using the scale. We use the mirror modifier, we use the subdivision modifier, and then we use the duplicate tool. Okay, hopefully you enjoy watching and you got something useful out of this video. Thanks for watching.